And still, the head of NATO's military committee, Admiral Rob Bauer, says the arms industry needs to ramp up production as the bottom of the barrel is now visible. Speaking on the first day of the Warsaw Security Forum in the Polish capital, Mr. Bauer said, on a political level, the budgets had gone up already 7 years before the war, but the industry has not increased the production capacity. Earlier in September this year, he warned that the drastic rise in ammunition prices means that allies' higher defense spending does not automatically translate into greater security, and he called for more private investment in defense companies. NATO has been pressing for a boost in defense production, all to satisfy a demand of weapons and equipment that has soared since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, as allies not only rush supplies for Kyiv, but also build up their own inventories.
And basically, we need the continued support from the political level, because it's not only the money, it is also the actions in the nations that lead to more readier forces and the capabilities we need. And if you actually see that in the 7 years before the war, the budgets went up already, but the industry did not increase the production capacity. And that has led to higher prices already before the war. And that actually has exacerbated by the fact that we now give away weapon systems to Ukraine, which is great, and ammunition, but not from full warehouses. We started to give away from half full or lower warehouses in Europe, and therefore the bottom of the barrel is now visible. And we need the industry to ramp up production in a much higher tempo, and we need large volumes. And the just-in-time, just-enough economy that we built together in 30 years in our liberal economies is fine for a lot of things, but not for the armed forces when there's a war ongoing, where you have peak demand signals like we saw in the pandemic with medical equipment.
U.S. President Joe Biden has spoken with the leaders of allied countries, the European Union and NATO military alliance about continuing coordinated support for Ukraine. According to the White House, the call included the leaders of Canada, Germany, Italy, Japan, Poland, Romania, Britain and France, as well as the heads of NATO, the European Commission and the European Council. President Joe Biden convened the call amid concerns that support for Kyiv's war efforts against Russia was fading, especially in the United States, where Congress excluded aid to Ukraine from an emergency bill to prevent a partial government shutdown.
Commitment of the United States to supporting Ukraine as it defends itself for as long as it takes, as did every other leader on the call. The leaders discussed efforts to continue providing Ukraine with the ammunition and the weapon systems that it needs to defend its territory, and to continue strengthening Ukrainian air defenses as they prepare for more attacks on critical infrastructure now, certainly, but also certainly in the winter months ahead. Joining President Biden on the call was Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada, President von der Leyen of the European Commission, President Michel of the European Council, Chancellor Scholz of Germany, Prime Minister Maloney of Italy, Prime Minister Kishida of Japan, NATO Secretary General Stoltenberg, President Duda of Poland, President Ioannis of Romania, and Prime Minister Sunak of the United Kingdom, as well as the Foreign Minister of France, Foreign Minister Colonna. Now, this call, of course, comes on the heels of the continuing resolution passed by Congress over the weekend, a bill that did not include funding to support Ukraine. As President Biden made clear, we cannot under any circumstances allow America's support for Ukraine to be interrupted. Time is not our friend. We have enough funding authorities to meet Ukraine's battlefield needs for a bit longer. But we need Congress to act to ensure that there is no disruption in our support. As Ukrainians wage a tough counteroffensive, as their children continue to get ripped from the bosom of their families, and as winter fast approaches, it is imperative that we help them take advantage of every single day. A lapse in support for even a short period of time could make all the difference on the battlefield. Just as critically, such a lapse in support will make Putin believe that he can wait us out, and that he can continue the conflict until we and our allies and our partners fold. So, the President looks forward to working with Congress to ensure that we make good on our commitment. And he has every expectation that Speaker McCarthy will keep his public commitment to secure the passage of the support needed to help Ukraine at this critical moment.
In the meantime, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is assuring G7 and NATO leaders that the United Kingdom is prepared to support Ukraine with military, humanitarian and economic assistance for as long as it takes. According to the readout for a call by the Downing Street spokesperson, he outlined the UK's ongoing military, humanitarian and economic assistance to Ukraine, stressing that this support will continue for as long as possible. A Russian court has sentenced former state television journalist Marina Ozyannikova to 8.5 years in jail in absentia. You may remember Maria, the TV producer who burst into a news broadcast with a placard that read, "Stop the war," and they're lying to you early on the war when they started against Ukraine. But according to a statement posted by the court, Maria was found guilty of spreading knowingly false information about the Russian armed forces. The 45-year-old fled Russia with her daughter for an unspecified European country 1 year ago after escaping from house arrest. Her lawyer says that she had no case to answer. She had staged her original protest less than 3 weeks after Russia sent tens of thousands of troops into neighboring Ukraine on February the 24th, 2022, in what he called a special military operation.